uh, moving on, we have the next presentation by Dr. Gauri Mahulikar ji. Thank you, Gauri ji, for accepting our invitation. We are very grateful to you. Let me give a brief introduction to Gauri ji. Dr. Gauri ji is the academic director at Chinmaya International Foundation. She is the former Dean of Faculty and former Vice Chancellor of Chinmaya University, Kerala. A researcher in Vedic literature and student of Vedanta. She and a passionate lover of Sanskrit literature. Professor Mahulikar has participated in many national and international conferences. She has published 7 books and more than 80 articles in various journals. She has retired as head of Sanskrit department and Gurudev Tagore Chair for Comparative Literature at Mumbai University in 2015, and later she had joined Chinmaya University as Vice Chancellor, and after having served as the Dean of Faculty there, she is currently with the Chinmaya International Foundation as the Academic Director, and she is also associated with many different NGOs in various management and advisorial positions, and she is being born in Karnataka. She can speak up to 5 Indian languages apart from English. So we have a very interesting presentation today. Gauriji will be speaking on the topic 7 Golden Rules of Vedic Spirituality. Over to you, ma'am. Please start the session.
Thank you, INDICA. Thank you, Sridhar, Nagaraj Garu, and Hariji for giving this opportunity. We start with 2 verses from Bhagavad Gita, and I'm not going to deal with, I heard some of the presentations that say for in Vedanta or in Yoga Sutra, how the word Adhyatma or Shraddha and Bhakti are there. I'm leading based on two suktas, one from the Rig Veda and the same sukta occurring in the Atharva Veda, how spirituality also could be practiced. I mean, it is normally religious practices, and spirituality is by experience. But I think I would present a different view. And for that, I would start. And my methodology is Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Sampabrumuhe Vibhet Telpashrutat Vedo Mamayam Praharishyati. And therefore, how Manusmriti or the later granthas like Bhagavad Gita and all, they in a way, emulate or follow the Vedic do's and don'ts. So that is my topic. And for that, I will start first with Bhagavad Gita 2 verses. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyaha and jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. And the second is Bhaktyat Vananyaya Shakyaha from the 11th chapter. Bhaktyat Vananyaya Shakyaha Hamayavam Vidurjuna Jnatum Drashtum Cha Tatvena Praveshtum Cha Parantapa. It is not only Jnana, it is not only Darshana, but the Pravesha being one. And that I think I would take you through the Vedic Sukta. So this was like a sort of disclaimer or a prologue. And normally religion and spirituality, though the 2 sides of the coin and inseparable, people boast that they are spiritual but not religious, because the only difference which they can make out in that is religion emphasizes practices, whereas spirituality experience. It's an experiential truth. And therefore, people have this bifurcation and division in that. But the journey to spirituality, I must say, cannot happen without Shraddha and without Bhakti. It is only through the devout and faithful attempt to imbibe certain qualities and restrain oneself from the vices which the Veda has given. And Vedic spirituality Vedic view for the spirituality is very, what you can say, very objective and very universal in a way, because all the human beings are addressed as Shrunvantu Vishwe Amritasya Putraha. And irrespective of their religion, tongue, caste, creed, etc., etc. And in order to attain that that amritatva, that natural status, the seers have laid down the 7 golden rules. I'm coming to that 7 golden rules. They call it as Maryada. And this Maryada lexical meaning is, like Maryaihi, Manushaihi, Adiyate, Grihate, Iti Maryada. It's a boundary, but the connotation implies so many other things. It implies the ethical implication is there, the morality is concerned in that. And the Vedic hymn which talks about that is 10th Mandala, 5th Sukta, and 6th Richa, and the same Sukta occurs in the Atharva Veda in the 5th Kanda as the first Sukta. So 10.5.6 and Atharva Veda 5.1.6, they give you the same Sukta. And both the places, the hymn is marked as obscure and mystic, especially by the translators, Whitney and others, they mark it as obscure. And they say that the lines are disconnected and artificially combined. This is from Whitney's translation of Atharva Veda. And the Viniyoga, why he gives that, his view is that because he says the Viniyoga also, makes it more obscure, because the Viniyoga talks about so many things. When that Sukta is to be recited, recitation of the Sukta is at various occasions, like in the battlefield, a battle right for victory, then for winning a husband against abortion, as a remedial right, and so many things, So that perhaps gives you obscurity, that attaches obscurity to that. But the way in which Brahman is described, if you see, then there is nothing obscure. So the verse, the translation of the verse, I think, did I read the verse? No. The verse reads as, Sapta Maryadaha Kavayas Tatakshuhu Tasam Idam Ekam Abhi Anghuraha Agad Ayor Haskambha Upamasya Nide Katham Visarge Dharuneshu Tasthau. So that is the Richa or the mantra from the Atharva Veda. And I have given quoted, Witness translation is not much different from Griffith's of the Rig Veda. 7 are the pathways which the wise have fashioned. He says Maryada as pathways. 7 are the pathways which the wise have fashioned. And to one of these may come the troubled mortal. Anhuraha, Martyaha, Abhi Agat. He standeth in the dwelling of the highest, a pillar, which is called Skambha, on sure ground where paths are parted. So that is his translation, very word-to-word translation he gives. Now, if you see the entire hymn, in the Atharva Veda, we have in the 10th Kanda, 7th Sukta as Skambha Sukta, and Skambha is the pillar of support of this life. And this pillar of life has the nest of the world perched on one of its branches. Okay, and this is the nest where the soul, the self, enjoys the proximity of the highest, his primal state of being, where existence and non-existence dwell together. Asatcha, Satcha, Parame Vyoman, So that comes in the Skambha Sutta. So Brahman is a huge tree and the nest of the world, and the soul resting there, it's a coziness of the nest. Now to achieve that, there are Sapta Maryadaha Kavayaha Tatakshuhu. They have carved out as if the 7 Maryadas. And the earliest commentator, Yaskacharya, of course, who wrote Nirukta, he doesn't comment on the Richa per se, but while taking into consideration the word Anhura, he comments on that. And the Sapta Maryada, which he speaks of, are like Steya, Gurutalparohana, Brahmahatya, Bhrunahatya, Surapana, Dushkruta Karmanaha, Punah Sevanam, and Patake Andrita Bhashanam. After Nirukta, after Yaskacharya, when Sayanacharya comments on that, he has a very beautiful commentary, and he gives the Saptamaryada in two ways, stating that they are either emerging out of desire, kama, or krodha, anger. Kamajebhyaha, krodhajebhyaha, udhritaha, and he gives two sets of these 7 maryadas. One set is Panam, Aksha, Striyaha, Mrigaya, Dandaha, Parushyam, and Anya Dushanam. And Yadva, or. And that Yadva is the set which has been accepted by the earliest commentator Nirukta Yaskacharya, and which later on, is reflected in the Smriti text as well. So I will stick to the second set, and that is Teyam, Gurutalparohanam, Brahmahatya, Brunahatya, Surapanam, Dushkrutasya Punah Punah Sevanam, Patakasya cha Anrita Bhashanam. Patake Anrita Bhashanam. So these are the 7 things, and one who commits these 7 blunders becomes a sinner. And if you restrain from that, if you commit that, your lifespan decreases, okay? And if you restrain from that, then only you can become one. You can stay in the proximity of your pristine nature, that is the Brahman. So this is given as not just do's, this is given as don'ts. Religious practices come in vidhi and pratishedha. So this is restraining from these bad tendencies or bad qualities. Now, first of all, these 7 golden rules of conduct are, 5 of these are echoed by the Smritikaras as the Pancha Mahapatakas. Okay, only Dushkritasya Karmanaha Punah Punah Sevanam and Patake Anrita Bhashanam, these are not mentioned, but the first 5 are mentioned as the Mahapatakas, the greatest, the gravest of the sins. Now this Pataka takes us back, takes us to the root of it, and that is the concept of Rita. Rita normally works on 3 levels. One is the cosmic level, which we can say Adhibhuta, and then the ritual level, Adhidaiva, and then the internal, the psychological level, the moral, ethical level, and that is Adhyatma. And here we are concerned more with the Adhyatma. I mean, if there is somebody wants to interfere, he can't. But if he wants to interfere in the Adhidaiva or Adhibhuta, there are, the punishments given. I mean, he incurs sin. And Ritavan, Varuna, for example, he will bind him with his pashas. Then Ritavari, Usha also will be angered with that person. And if religious practices on that level, ritual level, if you commit certain blunders, then of course there are prayashchittas for that. But on the moral level, that is more important. In here, Aumhura, when Niruktakara, Yaska takes into consideration the word Aumhura, first of all, he would say Anavagatametat. And then that is his habit, right? And then he would say, Aumhuraha is Ahaswan, Auhaswan, one who is a sinner. Auhas plus what? And he comments that Ra iti matvarthiyaha pratyayaha. So this is very important, matvarthiyaha pratyayaha. And with that in mind, I would like to enumerate so many words which are used in the Rigveda for Auhas. Auhas, Agas, Enas, then Papa, Brujina, Durita, Anrita. These are different words, and these are used, in the Rigveda for all these things. And most of these things are like, they happen because of Kama and Krodha, as we saw just now. And now, I mean, to abstain from that and to restrain from that, Yajurveda takes you to this Mitrasyaham Chakshusha Sarvani Bhutani Samikshe, Mitrasya Chakshusha Samiksha Mahe, and Mam Sarvani Bhutani Samikshantam, etc., etc. So what is this kama and what is this krodha, which is later on given in the Bhagavad Gita as Trividham Narakasyedam Dwaram, Kamaha Krodhascha Lobhascha. So before that, I think it will be better to deal with all these one after the other. Steya, for example, these are driven by either desire or by anger and greed. So steya, it is not just, robbing somebody of something. It is just not an object. Sometimes it could be the wealth or the wife, the woman, property, and sometimes it could be as abstract a thing as credit is stolen. We have this plagiarism and all these things, the ethics in the research. The credit of a person, Shreya, is also robbed. So this is because of greed. This is because of jealousy and envy for other people, which arises again out of anger or out of greed, lobha. So, and if you are making other person unhappy by robbing something which belongs to him, then where is the sukha? The ultimate goal, if it is sukhasya avaptihi, nairantaryam sukham avapnuyat, and dukkha nivrittihi, that is the ultimate goal, is it not? But then sukha is suhitam khebhyaha or shobhanam kham asya iti. If other people are unhappy, we can't be happy. And Advaita Vedanta, which teaches the oneness, if the other person is unhappy, we can't be unhappy. And therefore, you have to share nasa sakha yona dadati sakhe, and something like kevalabho bhavati, kevaladi. These are the things which give us, the teaching of abstaining, restraining our steya quality, because that is inborn many times. Then Guru Talpa Rohana, it's violation literally of a teacher's bed or having illicit relations with the Guru's wife. But then later on it got transferred to having illicit relations to brother's wife or one's own daughter or daughter-in-law or even friend's wife. And Manu gives you the prayashchitta as it is given for Guru Talpaka. The same prayashchitta is there, and that prayashchitta is so severe, nobody would commit such a crime that, he has to lie down upon a heated iron bed or embrace a red hot image of a woman. After that, he is sure to die. But that is the sort of danda which is given to Guru Talpa, which is extended to illicit relations to any other woman other than one's own wedded wife. So defiling the bed is later extended to, I told that, Guru Talpaga. So this arises out of kama, uncontrolled lust leading one to such a heinous act, and therefore it is severely punished. So this is committed through the kama desire. Now this is a negative emotion. Kama, krodha, both are negative emotions. Now after kama comes krodha, and krodha is the thing which induces a person to not only attack but ultimately to kill a person. So the krodha is antagonistic and feeling towards someone or something, and this negative feeling makes one violent and results in the killing of an undesired person, be it a brahmana or be it a bhruna. So bhruna hatya and brahma hatya have coupled together as they are krodhaja. And Vedas and the later text, especially the Puranas, they have Brahma Hatya as a personified woman, a figure. She is many times called as Kritya or Brahma Hatya. And especially in the Mahabharata and the Puranas, we come across how Brahma Hatya is chasing even Shiva, who cut the fifth head of Brahmadeva, and the Kapala got stuck to his hand, and he's running from place to place, and ultimately, he comes to Kapala Mochana Tirtha at Kashi and gets relieved. In the Mahabharata, Balarama accidentally, inadvertently happened to kill the Suta Pauranika with just a blade of grass, and the Kritya followed him wherever he went. And just to signify that this is a Brahmagna, a strange, weird type of smell, sometimes of a rotten flesh, or matsya, meena gandha or loha gandha, as the gandha of the rust of the iron. So loha gandhi or matsya gandhi saha bhavati, that is what it is given in the epics and the Puranas. So that, everybody knows that he is a Brahmagna. Basically, that is to indicate that he is a Brahmagna. And this, this later on gets extended to the religious practices. For example, the Brahmavaivarta Purana would say that one who doesn't worship or doesn't partake the food offered as Naivedya, he incurs the sin of Brahmatya. Now, this is the story which we have in the structured type of myths called Satyanarayana Vratakatha. If you don't partake of that prasad of Satyanarayan, then some impediment will fall upon you, We have the Sadhu Vaishya story and all that. So, Bhruna Hatya is also on the same line. It's done through anger, and it is uniformly condemned by all the Shastras. But many places, especially some parts of India, we had killing of a female embryo till law passed an order and it was prohibited. Surapana refers to the excessive and addictive drinking, because a drunkard is likely to lose he loses his discretionary power, his viveka, and in the state of intoxication, he may commit further blunders of killing somebody, So Surapana is also a prohibited thing, and one should refrain from that. The most interesting things are not these five. These five everybody knows as the Mahapatakas given in the Manusmriti, but the last two, which is Dushkrita Karmanaha Punah Punaha Sevanam. And Patake, after committing a mistake, Anrita Bhashanam, I didn't do it. I didn't make that mistake. I didn't commit the crime. When he himself is a culprit. So greed or lobha, lobha in the sense, I want this all at any cost. And, something like, it creates sort of arrogance and best because I have it all. And if I don't have it, I will go to any extent to have it. And I can't tolerate anyone coming in the way of my getting a particular thing. That induces a person doing a bad thing again and again and again. So it causes some sort of sadistic pleasure, perhaps, We have had instances of serial killers of young girls sometime back, many years back when I was too young. Psychologically, such a person gets overpowered by greed, and much like an intoxicated person, and despite any threats given to him or warnings or punishments, he continues to commit similar crimes. We say that to err is human. But the error, once committed, if you undergo the prayashchitta, you are redeemed. You can, resolve out of that. And you come out of that error. But if you commit the same mistake again and again, that means you deny being transformed. So there is an opportunity, there is an avakasha given by all the Shastras for the human being to undo what he has, not literally undo, but take prayashchitta for that, atonement for the sin, what he has committed. But one shouldn't refuse to get transformed and transferred and cleansed of all the negativity. And therefore, this boundary, once crossed, brings down, dooms a person. And therefore, what one should do is confession that, yes, I did that mistake and I'm very sorry for that. I won't do it again There are confession boxes at many places. Our own confession boxes are our own elderly people in our household. In the joint families, the confession boxes are our parents-in-law or parents or grandparents, but one should have that honesty to speak the truth. That requires great courage. If you are honest, you are calm. Honesty brings in tranquility. But honesty in taking the responsibility of wrongdoings, that can cleanse one's mind and absolve him from all his sins and all his blunders and mistakes. And therefore, confession in a way works as an expiation, a prayashchitta, and that minimizes the effect of the sin. However, it requires great courage, as I was saying just now. To admit one's mistakes, it requires great courage, because our ego plays an important part in that, a major role in declining the wrongdoing. No, I never did it. I don't intend to do it. I never intended doing it. I'm not a person who would do such thing. So we keep on denying the things, the wrongdoings, and keep on boosting our own egos. There lies the crux of all the thing. If we want to abide by these 7 rules, which have come down to us in the form of don'ts, then we have to be true to our own self. We want to improve. We want to be one. We want to be in that nature, in that need where, we can stay in close proximity with our own consciousness. Because when I say that this on the moral ground, Varuna works on all these 3 levels, not only the Adhidaiva, Adhibhuta, but Adhyatma level also. The conscience of the person, the sinner, it goes on pricking him, and that is the punishment. So he must confess, he must come forward and confess it and not do the mistake again and again. Otherwise, what Gita calls Dambho Darpo Bhimanascha, and therefore this hypocrisy or the arrogance and the excessive pride which we nurture as our ego, then it becomes very like Asuri Sampat. So the Daiva Sampat and the Asuri Sampat, they are nothing but, I could say, the corollaries of these 7 boundaries. Sapta Maryadaha Kavayasta Takshuru. Pretending to be innocent and telling lies after committing an evil act is therefore considered to be a sin. I mean, Asatya Bhashana, why Satya is given so much importance in the qualities, in the Daivasura Sampat, and Aman, Vitvam, Ashaucham, are so emphasized later on by Vyasa and by other epics. This is because pretending to be innocent and telling lies after committing an evil act, is considered a sin. If a sinner doesn't undergo any expiation for that, then he suffers far-reaching results, and that is stated in the statement from Vishnu Purana as Papakridyati narakam prayashchitta parangmukha. Papakrit prayashchitta parangmukha purushaha or papakrit narakam yati. And therefore, for prayashchitta, we should never say no, because that is a chance, that's an opportunity to absolve all our sins and cleanse ourselves forever. So coming to the some remarks, which I want to deduce as from the deliberation which I am doing here, that the Vedic literature, first of all, it takes into account the slippery grounds of Kama, Krodha and Lobha, the desire, anger and greed, from where humans can fall. It's a fall of ladder. It's a ladder of fall of a human being, and deprive themselves from being with their pristine nature. And these ethical grounds, these ethical rules indicate synthesis in a way and integrity of spiritual experience without mentioning any such word as Shraddha or Bhakti or Adhyatma in this, unless we have this, unless we have faith in the Guru Shastra Vachaneshu Shraddha. What is Shraddha? That Idamitham iti Guru Vakya and Shastra Vakya. If we don't believe that, then we won't follow, we won't abide by these rules. And therefore, this in a way synthesizes and integrates the spiritual experience. And as I stated in the at the very outset, this is beyond all the religions per se and all the faiths and all. So this is very objective and universal for all. And Daivi Sampad, the divine state of virtues given in the Bhagavad Gita later on, is nothing but an extension of positively inculcating the noble values. Here, the Veda in the Saptamaryadaha Tatakshupu, it gives in a negative manner that you should not do it, but positively again, in the contrast of 6 vices, Dambho, Darpo, Vimanascha, the 16th chapter gives you 26 noble qualities. Positively inculcate, try to inculcate these noble values. And all the crimes stated herein transcend the limitations of religion, etc. And Manusmriti, when it echoes, especially Manusmriti, other texts also echo these Mahapatakas. But this, I feel, is a methodology of Upabrahmana. This is a technique called endorsing the statements of the Vedas. And in fact, Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabrumhaye Bibhetyalpashrutat Vedaha Mamayam Praharishyati. So this is the principle, this is the methodology on which I wanted to discuss this hymn. And this could be interpreted in the light of Manusmriti or the later Patakas, which we are acquainted with. So with this, I conclude. And yeah, there is, so many bibliography. Basically the Rig Veda and Atharva Veda, and yeah, Veda and the Indian culture, and some text I have given as the bibliography. So I have made it as a paper. If INDICA wants to publish it sometime, then I can refine it on the basis of the discussion which happens right now, and then modify it and submit it to you. Hari Om, Dhanyavada.
Thank you, Gauriji, for a wonderful presentation on the Sapta Maryada. I think you make a very important point that just as, you know, Bhakti and Upasana is one of the distinguishing features of Vedic spirituality, the Samanya Dharma, I would like to designate the Sapta Maryada Samanya Dharma, because that is how the Smritis do.
Yes.
Is another distinguishing feature of Vedic spirituality. Nagaraj, do you have any comments to add?
No, I just wanted to thank Gauriji for this. There is one general theory in religious studies, theory of religion, that religion is all about good conduct. And it's a very popular and common sense way of looking at all religions as just good conduct. But that is too simplistic to say. It is reductionist to say that just good conduct is spirituality. Whereas, because Gauriji is such a profound scholar, she was able to connect that simplistic looking good conduct kind of theory to the deeper, more profound way of how it connects to actual spirituality also. Otherwise, it gets reduced completely to, it is all, religion is all about just good conduct only. It's not. It's actually, there is a deeper connect between that good conduct and what in Vedic spirituality, spirituality actually means. So that logic has been built. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Gauriji, for the excellent presentation.